What if the most painful moment of your life was actually a gift in disguise? What if every loss, every disappointment, every heartbreak was precisely what you needed to become who you're meant to be? And what if there's an ancient Buddhist principle that can help you unlock the hidden meaning in every single experience you've ever had, transforming your entire relationship with both joy and suffering? Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to reveal the one shift in perspective that can turn your deepest wounds into your greatest sources of wisdom and peace. If you're ready to discover how to find meaning in every experience and transform your life from the inside out, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I share profound wisdom every week that can genuinely change how you experience life. Now, let's begin this transformative journey together. Take a moment and think about your life as a story. Every story worth telling has moments of joy and moments of pain, victories and defeats, connections and losses, beginnings and endings. But here's what we typically do. We spend our lives trying to collect as many of the good moments as possible while desperately avoiding or running from the painful ones. We operate under the assumption that a good life is one with maximum pleasure and minimum pain, that happiness means having everything go our way, that success is about avoiding failure and loss, and because of this fundamental misunderstanding, we suffer unnecessarily. We suffer not just from the painful experiences themselves, but from our resistance to them, our belief that they shouldn't be happening, our conviction that they're meaningless obstacles standing between us and the life we're supposed to have. Buddhism offers a radically different perspective, one that has the power to transform every single experience you've ever had and will ever have. It says this: every experience, without exception, has profound meaning and purpose. The joy and the pain, the gains and the losses, the beginnings and the endings, they're all equally valuable parts of your journey. They're all teaching you something essential. They're all shaping you into who you're becoming. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Even the experiences that feel like pure suffering, especially those experiences, are opportunities for the deepest growth and awakening. This isn't just positive thinking or trying to put a silver lining on genuinely difficult experiences. This is a fundamental truth about how growth happens. Think about how a tree grows. It doesn't grow just from sunshine and perfect weather. It grows strong by weathering storms, by bending in harsh winds, by sending its roots deeper when the surface soil is dry. The stress, the difficulty, the challenge, these aren't obstacles to the tree's growth, they're essential to it. A tree that only experienced perfect conditions would never develop the deep roots and strong trunk it needs to thrive long term. And you are not so different from that tree. Every difficult experience you've been through has forced you to develop strength you didn't know you had. Every loss has taught you about impermanence and the preciousness of what you have right now. Every betrayal has refined your understanding of trust and discernment. Every failure has shown you that you can survive not getting what you want and still move forward. Every moment of loneliness has pushed you to develop a deeper relationship with yourself. Every heartbreak has cracked you open in a way that allows more compassion and love to flow through you. These aren't just consolation prizes or ways to rationalize pain. These are the actual gifts that emerge from difficulty when you're willing to receive them. But here's the thing. You have to be willing to receive them. You have to be willing to look at your painful experiences and ask, what is this teaching me? How is this growing me? What gift is hidden within this suffering? Most people never ask these questions. They just label the experience as bad, as something that shouldn't have happened, and they spend their energy either dwelling in resentment about it or trying to pretend it didn't affect them. But Buddhism teaches that this resistance to painful experiences is what creates most of our suffering. The pain itself is often unavoidable. Life includes pain, bodies get sick, people die, relationships end, plans fail, disappointments happen. This is part of the human experience. But suffering, the prolonged mental and emotional anguish we experience, that comes primarily from our resistance to what is, from our insistence that reality should be different than it is. This brings us to one of the most profound and transformative concepts in Buddhism, anicca, or impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Not your body, not your circumstances, not your relationships, not your thoughts, not your emotions. Everything is in constant flux. This isn't a philosophical idea to debate. It's an observable fact of existence. Look at your own life. How much has changed since you were a child? Since last year, since last month, even since yesterday? Your cells are constantly dying and regenerating. Your thoughts come and go. Your emotions rise and fall. The world around you is in perpetual motion. Nothing is static. Nothing is permanent. And here's the key insight. Most of our suffering comes from fighting this truth. We want things to stay the way they are when they're good. We cling to relationships, to youth, to health, to success, to happiness, desperately trying to freeze them in place. And we resist things as they are when they're difficult. We fight against pain, illness, loss, failure, trying to make them go away before their natural time. Both responses, the clinging and the resisting, create suffering because both are fighting against the fundamental nature of reality. It's like standing in a river and trying to stop the water from flowing. You can't do it. You'll only exhaust yourself trying. But what if you could accept impermanence instead of fighting it? What if you could embrace the truth that everything changes, that nothing lasts forever, and find peace in that truth rather than anxiety? This is what Buddhism invites us to do. Not to become passive or fatalistic, but to align ourselves with reality instead of constantly being at war with it. When you accept impermanence, something miraculous happens. You stop taking the good moments for granted because you know they won't last forever, so you're more present with them, more appreciative. You stop being devastated by the difficult moments because you know they won't last forever either, which gives you the strength to endure them. Think about a time in your life when something painful happened, something that felt unbearable in the moment. Maybe it was the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, a health crisis, the death of someone you loved. In that moment, it probably felt like the pain would never end, like you'd never be okay again, like life as you knew it was over. But here you are, on the other side of it. The pain did end, or at least it transformed into something more bearable. Life continued, you survived, and if you look honestly, you probably grew from that experience in ways you couldn't have grown otherwise. That's impermanence in action. The pain was real, but it wasn't permanent. And the growth that came from it, that's not permanent either. It's all flowing, all changing, all evolving. When you truly understand impermanence, you develop a different relationship with both joy and pain. You hold joy lightly, appreciating it fully while it's here but not clinging to it desperately. You hold pain with more spaciousness, acknowledging it while knowing it will pass. You become more flexible, more resilient, more at peace with the constant changes that life brings. You stop expecting life to provide you with permanent comfort or permanent anything, and instead you learn to dance with the changes, to flow with the river rather than against it. Now, let's talk about something that's intimately connected to this: karma. The word karma has been so misused in popular culture that its true meaning has been obscured. People use it to mean cosmic revenge, like karma will get them when someone does something wrong. But that's not what karma actually means. Karma is a Sanskrit word that literally means action. And the law of karma is simply this: every action has consequences. What you do matters. How you speak matters. How you think matters. Every choice you make sets something in motion. Some consequences are immediate and obvious. Others ripple out in ways you might never fully see. But nothing you do is without impact. This is both empowering and sobering. It's empowering because it means you have agency. Your life isn't just happening to you randomly. You're actively creating it through your choices, moment by moment. Every decision you make is planting a seed that will eventually bear fruit. If you plant seeds of kindness, compassion, generosity, honesty, those seeds will grow into experiences that reflect those qualities. If you plant seeds of anger, deceit, cruelty, selfishness, those seeds will grow into experiences that reflect those qualities. You're not a victim of random fate. You're a co-creator of your experience. But it's also sobering because it means you're responsible. You can't just blame everything on external circumstances or other people or bad luck. Yes, there are things outside your control. You can't control what other people do, what circumstances you're born into, what random events occur. But you always have control over how you respond, what choices you make, what intentions you hold. And those responses, choices, and intentions matter. They shape your life. They shape who you become. They shape the experiences you have. Understanding karma changes how you move through life. You become more intentional about your actions because you understand they have consequences beyond the immediate moment. You think twice before acting from anger or spite because you understand you're planting seeds that will grow into future experiences. You're more motivated to act with integrity and compassion because you understand you're creating the conditions for your own peace and happiness. You take responsibility for your life in a deep way, not from a place of guilt or shame, but from a place of empowerment and wisdom. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you're in a conflict with someone. You're angry, you feel wronged, you want to lash out. You have a choice in this moment. You can act from that anger, say hurtful things, escalate the conflict, maybe even end the relationship in a dramatic way. Or you can take a breath. Recognize your anger, understand where it's coming from, and choose to respond with more wisdom. Maybe you express your feelings clearly but without attacking. Maybe you take some space to cool down before addressing it. Maybe you choose to let it go if it's not actually that important. Both responses will have consequences. If you lash out, the immediate consequence might be that you feel a sense of release, like you got your feelings out. But the longer-term consequences might be a damaged or destroyed relationship, guilt about how you handled it, the other person's hurt or retaliation, and reinforcement of a pattern of reacting from anger. If you respond with wisdom, the immediate consequence might be that you have to sit with some uncomfortable feelings without expressing them destructively. But the longer-term consequences might be a preserved or even strengthened relationship, self-respect, the development of emotional maturity, and reinforcement of a pattern of responding consciously rather than reacting automatically. This is karma in action. Your choice plants a seed, and that seed grows. You're always planting seeds. The question is, what kind of garden do you want to grow? This understanding of karma naturally leads to taking responsibility for your life. Not in a harsh, self-blaming way, but in an empowering way. It shifts you from asking, "Why is this happening to me?" to asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I respond to this? What choice do I have in this moment?" It shifts you from victim to creator, from passive to active, from helpless to empowered. But there's another side to this that's equally important. While you're responsible for your choices and actions, you also have to accept what's outside your control. And this is where one of the deepest sources of peace comes from: the ability to distinguish between what you can change and what you can't, and to release your attachment to controlling what's beyond your influence. So much of our suffering comes from trying to control things we simply cannot control. We try to control other people's feelings, thoughts, or behaviors. We try to control random events. We try to control outcomes that depend on countless factors beyond our influence. And we exhaust ourselves in the attempt, creating stress, frustration, and suffering. Buddhism teaches acceptance, but this is often misunderstood. Acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation or giving up on making things better. It doesn't mean you don't have preferences or desires. It doesn't mean you don't take action to change what you can change. Acceptance means making peace with reality as it is right now, including the parts you don't like and wish were different. It means stopping the internal war with what is. It means releasing the suffering that comes from insisting reality should be other than it is in this moment. Here's a powerful question for you, and I really want you to reflect on this and share your answer in the comments. What's one thing in your life that you've been resisting or fighting against, that you've been unable to accept? It could be something about your past, something about yourself, something about someone else, something about your current circumstances. And how has that resistance affected your peace of mind? Share your reflection below, because naming what we're resisting is often the first step toward acceptance and freedom. This practice of acceptance is profound and often misunderstood, so let me be clear about what it is and isn't. When you accept something, you're not saying it's good or right or that you approve of it. You're simply acknowledging that it is. You're stopping the exhausting mental battle of arguing with reality. Let's say you have a chronic health condition. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop seeking treatment or taking care of yourself. It means you stop spending mental and emotional energy wishing you didn't have the condition, comparing yourself to people who are healthier, resenting your body, or asking, "Why me?" over and over. That mental resistance doesn't change your health condition. It just adds suffering on top of the physical pain. Acceptance allows you to say, "This is my reality right now. I don't like it, but fighting against the fact that it exists doesn't help me. What I can do is take the best care of myself possible, make the choices available to me, and find peace even within this limitation." Or consider a relationship that ended. Maybe you didn't want it to end. Maybe you were blindsided. Maybe you still love the person. Non-acceptance looks like replaying it obsessively, trying to figure out what you could have done differently, imagining alternate scenarios where it worked out, staying stuck in if-only thinking, or remaining angry at the person for leaving. Acceptance looks like acknowledging, "This relationship ended. I wish it hadn't, but it did. I can feel my sadness and grief about that without trying to undo reality. Now, how do I move forward from here?" Acceptance doesn't make the pain disappear, but it removes the additional layer of suffering that comes from fighting reality. This connects directly to another fundamental Buddhist teaching: attachment is the root of suffering. Now, this is another concept that's often misunderstood. People hear, "Attachment is the root of suffering," and think Buddhism is telling them not to love, not to care, not to want anything. But that's not it at all. Buddhism distinguishes between love and attachment, between preference and clinging. You can love deeply without being attached. You can care deeply without clinging. You can desire things without suffering when you don't get them or when you lose them. Attachment is when you believe your happiness depends on having or keeping something or someone. It's when you think you can't be okay without that thing or person. It's when your sense of identity or worth is wrapped up in an external condition. It's when you grasp, cling, demand permanence from what is impermanent. Think about the difference between these two statements, I love you and I want to be with you, versus I need you and I can't survive without you. The first is love with freedom. The second is attachment with desperation. Loving without possessiveness, without attachment, is one of the most liberating experiences you can have. It means you can fully appreciate and cherish someone or something while they're in your life without the constant anxiety of losing them. It means you can celebrate their independent existence rather than trying to own or control them. It means that if circumstances change, if the relationship ends or the situation shifts, while you'll feel sadness and grief, you won't feel destroyed because your entire sense of okayness wasn't dependent on that external condition. This applies to everything, not just relationships. Career, money, possessions, status, youth, health, everything you might attach your sense of identity or security to. The attachment is saying, I need this to be okay. I am only valuable if I have this. My life is only good if this condition is met. And that attachment creates suffering because nothing external is permanent, nothing external is truly controllable, and nothing external can give you the deep peace and okayness you're seeking. That only comes from within. When you release attachment, you don't love less or care less or want less. You actually experience more freedom to love, care, and want, because you're not gripping everything with white knuckles out of fear. You're holding everything with an open hand, appreciating it while it's here, knowing you'll be okay even when it changes or goes away. This is true freedom. Not freedom from connection or from life, but freedom within life. Freedom to engage fully without the suffering that attachment brings. And this brings us to perhaps the most powerful practice for experiencing this freedom, living in the present moment. So much of our suffering is about time. We either dwell in the past, replaying what happened, wishing it had been different, holding on to resentment or regret, or we project into the future, worrying about what might happen, fearing loss or failure, trying to control outcomes we can't control. Very little of our suffering is actually about this present moment. Right now, in this exact moment, are you okay? Not your thoughts about the past or future, but right now, in this immediate experience, are you in danger? Are your basic needs met? Can you take a breath? Can you feel yourself sitting or standing? When you bring your awareness fully into this present moment, you often find that you're actually okay, even if your mind is telling stories about how you're not. The present moment is the only place where life actually happens. The past is memory. The future is imagination. This moment, right here, right now, this is where you're actually alive. And when you're fully present, many of your problems dissolve because they exist only in time. The worry about tomorrow's meeting doesn't exist now. The regret about yesterday's mistake doesn't exist now. The fear of future loss doesn't exist now. Right now, in this moment, there is just this breath, this heartbeat, this immediate experience. And often, that's enough. Often, that's actually quite peaceful. This doesn't mean you never think about the past or plan for the future. Of course you do. Practical planning and learning from experience are valuable. But there's a difference between consciously choosing to think about past or future for a specific purpose and being lost in rumination, worry, or fantasy. The latter steals your peace and your presence. The former is a tool you use when needed, then you return to the present. Buddhism offers many practices to help cultivate this present moment awareness. But the essence is simple. Notice when your mind has wandered into past or future, and gently bring it back to now. Notice your breath. Notice physical sensations. Notice what you can see, hear, feel right now. Notice the space around and within you. Over and over, bring yourself back to this moment. It's a practice, not a perfect achievement. Your mind will wander thousands of times. That's normal. The practice is in the noticing and the returning, over and over, with patience and gentleness toward yourself. As you develop this capacity to be present, something shifts in how you experience your life. Difficulties become more manageable because you're not adding past regrets and future worries on top of present challenges. Joys become richer because you're actually there to experience them fully rather than being distracted by mental chatter. Your relationships deepen because you're truly present with people rather than half present while your mind is elsewhere. Your decisions become clearer because you're responding to what actually is rather than to your anxious projections. Your entire life becomes more vivid, more real, more fully lived. And here's the beautiful integration of all these teachings. When you understand that every experience has meaning and is an opportunity for growth, when you accept impermanence and stop clinging to permanence, when you take responsibility through understanding karma while accepting what you cannot control, when you love without possessive attachment, and when you live in the present moment, something extraordinary happens. You find peace. Not a peace that depends on everything going your way. Not a peace that requires perfect circumstances, but a deep, unshakable peace that comes from being aligned with reality, from not being at war with how things are, from trusting the process of your life even when you don't understand it. This peace doesn't mean you never feel pain or sadness or fear. You're human. You'll feel all the emotions. But underneath those changing emotional states, there's a foundation of okayness, a knowing that whatever you're experiencing is part of your journey, that you have what you need to handle it, that it won't last forever, that you're growing through it, and that fundamentally, in this present moment, you're okay. This is the peace that the Buddha pointed to 2,500 years ago, and it's available to you right now, not as some distant goal, but as your natural state when you stop creating suffering through resistance, attachment, and being lost in time. If this video has offered you a new perspective on your experiences and your life, please subscribe to this channel. I'm committed to sharing wisdom that can genuinely transform how you experience your life, and your subscription means you won't miss these teachings. Thank you for being here on this journey. Now, the secret I promised you at the beginning. Here it is. You've been searching for meaning in all your experiences, trying to understand why things happened, looking for the lesson, seeking the purpose. But the deepest secret is that you are the meaning. Every experience you've had, both joyful and painful, has been shaping you into who you are becoming. The meaning isn't something separate from you that you have to find. You are the living meaning that's being created through every experience. Every challenge has made you stronger. Every loss has made you deeper. Every joy has shown you what's possible. You're not trying to find your purpose through these experiences. You're becoming your purpose through them. That's the secret. You are the gift that's being unwrapped through every single moment of your life.